Virginie Viard's full collection for Chanel 2023 was an ode to the house codes that we all know and that customers love: delicate, romantic, a little bohemian. The designer sought to present clothes that feel gentle and moving, as the show's synopsis says. In the center of the black stadium erected inside the Grand Palais Éphémère stood a giant sculpted camellia. On each seat lay one freshly cut flower of the house flower. None of them were red herrings. The collection was adorned with camellias of all kinds, and, according to Viard, the camellia were more than a theme, they served as the unifying accent of the collection. They were woven into tweeds and knits, appliqued on long pants, streaked with white feathers on knitwear, and could be found hidden in floral prints, if you knew where to look. In this video, I suggest looking past the significance of this code to the formation of Chanel's brand DNA. La Camellia, the very essence of simplicity, became one of Coco Chanel's emblems and a trademark of the brand, officially appearing in 1933 on a black suit with white trim in that year's collection. The geometric roundness of the flower, the regularity of perfection and the purity of the white petals attracted Chanel. Considered a taboo flower, both androgynous and ambiguous, without spikes or fragrance, it struck a chord with Mademoiselle's provocative taste. According to some, La Camellia seduces with its simplicity. Simplicity has always been an element of Chanel's design from the beginning. Simplicity was her definition of beauty. The white camellia has indeed become her emblem and trademark of the brand, but more than just a logo, it reflects the true spirit of Chanel. With its minimalist lines, clearly delineated voluptuous curves and almost modern design, the camellia must have appealed to the aesthete and avant-garde designer. The use of the camellia in her design began in the 1920s. A stylized camellia was embroidered on a blouse as early as 1922. In 1924, a white camellia was placed on a black chiffon dress. A white camellia of piqué was placed on a grey coat with a dropped belt at the waist. In 1934, fabrics with a camellia motif were sewn for her. Camellias appeared on her black dresses and sweaters even before the flower officially appeared in 1933. The courtesan wore La Camellia, indicating that she was available, a symbol of carnal desire. During the Second Empire and Belle Époque, cocottes, originally an affectionate reference to young children, became known as upper-class prostitutes from the 1860s. They were also known as demi-monde. In France under Louis-Philippe, the immaculate white flower, so voluptuous yet shining with purity, accentuated the beauty of women, flattered their necklines and adorned their hair. They wore the flower as a sign of seductiveness and coquetry. Yes, wearing the flower was shocking at the time, but secular and aristocratic women dared to be bold, and that combined with a certain amount of levity. Proust began the trend of wearing the camellia on his lapel at the Salon de Gaumont. Before that, young men wore carnations or gardenias. We know how Chanel was inspired by men's clothing, so she decided to borrow the new trend. An early and perhaps first photograph of Coco, taken on a beach in Étretat, Normandy, 1913, shows her with a camellia pinned at the waist of a belted jersey suit, a long pullover with large pockets over a long skirt with a sailor top underneath. Her hair is parted down the middle and tucked back into a loose bun. She smiled into the camera, and, as Bott describes, as if amused by this discreet hint of seduction, spiced with ambiguity. We are left to wonder whether this was the beginning of what was to become Chanel's flower, or just a flower. In the same year, Suzanne Orlandi, wearing what is believed to be Chanel's first dress, a long gown of black velvet, has a collar of white lawn petals. This may have been her first hint at the idea of using the camellia motif. In 1935, George Huningen made a portrait of her. In the portrait she is wearing a black jacket with a white ruffle, again, almost like petals framing her face. Cecil Beaton captured her around 1935, standing between two sculpted black servant boys in her house, each with turbans on her head, each offering her a camellia. Chanel wore a long lace gown with embroidery and a chain belt. Camellias adorned the veil. And here Chanel and Salvador Dali are photographed casually. 1937, she is wearing a checked tweed suit, black hairband, savoir-faire, cuff bracelets, strings of pearls and a large white camellia pinned on her lapel. There are those who say Chanel's passion for camellias began when the love of her life, Arthur Boy Capel, gave her a bouquet of these flowers. Although others believe that her love for camellias may have begun as a child, when she saw the flower in Alexandre Dumas' The Lady with the Camellias. In any case, the camellia became a lucky talisman in her life. It was no accident that she chose the camellia as her emblem. There is a story behind it, but we will never know for sure what that story might be. Mystery, as we know, always surrounds Coco. She often told stories about her past that may or may not be true, but the facts changed from interview to interview. In her infamous words, "My life didn't make me happy, so I created my life." Once again, we wonder what the true story of La Camellia's attraction is, an attraction so strong that it has become an emblem of couture. 25 voluptuous petals twisted into a spiral, a sensual center, a line inscribed in a circle, a sensual sophistication, a romance with a touch of eroticism that once fascinated the sublime masochist and literary heroine Marguerite Gautier. The ideal symbol of refined androgynous femininity, the image of Coco's creations. The camellia comes from native Asian shrubs with shiny, oval-shaped leaves that surround the luxurious white flower. In Asia, it is called the Japanese rose, symbolizing purity and longevity, and it is thought that there are more than 120 varieties. For Coco, it symbolized love, simplicity and grace. In Asia, the name symbolizes excellence without pretension. The camellia was so highly regarded that it was named the national flower of the ancient kingdom of Dali. Camellia japonica, alba plena, one of the oldest varieties, is the model for Chanel's floral designs. It is believed to be the variety given to her by Boy Capel. The double pure white alba plena has no scent or thorns and is long-lasting. Its lack of fragrance would not compete with her Chanel No. 5 perfume, introduced to the public in 1921. Imagine Chanel in her exquisite Parisian apartment, surrounded by her cherished coromandel screens. Among the many images carved into the screens are Les Camellias, the flower stalks among the birds. It was she who designed the stunningly beautiful chandelier in her Cambone apartment, decorated with dozens of crystal orbs, stars, grapes and camellias. A simple flower appeared among the acanthus leaves in the Venetian crystal chandelier in her office. Camellias hung on other chandeliers and on mirrors. Chanel was known to surround herself with them when she found a lucky charm or symbol. And here, Chanel was photographed in 1965 looking at the striking crystal chandelier in her apartment at 31 Rue Cambone, wearing a hat, one of her iconic suits, white, with dark trim around the edges, with a brooch pinned in the center of a simple silk blouse, earrings, strings of pearls and, if you look closely, two-tone shoes. There are shelves of the books she so loved to read in the room. The coromandel screens in the room are out of camera range in this photo. Chanel's camellia tradition was continued by Karl Lagerfeld. The camellia was on every runway, always reinvented, the design not repeated from season to season. It adorned dresses, hats and jacket lapels. Lagerfeld considered the Camellia a hallmark of design, saying, "Echoes of the past, brought back to the past, a playful hint of house style. The Camellia is the spirit of fashion." He created Camellia in all kinds of fabrics and sizes. The Fall-Winter 2005 collection included a wedding dress embroidered with 4,000 camellias, which took 700 hours to create. But that's another story. The silhouettes for the upcoming Fall 2023 season followed the fashion and bohemia of the 60s, and in a short film shot by photographers Ines and Vinyard, the Japanese actress Nana Komatsu appeared as Polly Magu. The film's setting, a carousel with wooden horses, gave Viard the idea for the costume shorts Bermuda and asymmetrical proportions. The bottom half of many signature tweed suits were culottes worn over lace tights. There were long prairie-style dresses and Chanel's versions of mod moto. Some of the most beautiful looks were the long, apron-like A-line dresses that seemed light and fresh in the midst of the whole mix. And, in what was a refreshing change at Paris Fashion Week, where the models were mostly waist-length, Viard incorporated some figure diversity into her show. As you can see from the set, the predominant colors were black and white with flecks of red and pink. Near the end of the show, the large white camellias suddenly illuminated with red light. The crowd, consisting mostly of jubilant customers dressed in their most classic Chanel ensembles, gasped with delight. Viard gave them what they wanted. Or what they were made to want.